hold up your thumb just like this. And if the cloud is smaller than your thumb, now you run for the hills.
The famous Vault Boy thumbs up got some new context in the Fallout streaming series, but is it really an effective way to know if you're safe from a nuclear death sentence? The recent Amazon Prime adaptation of the Fallout game series has garnered a lot of critical and commercial success. It did a shockingly good job adapting the game world to the small screen. A second season has already gotten a thumbs up of its own. For those unfamiliar, Fallout takes place in a United States that has become a radiation-blighted wasteland following a nuclear war. The Vault Boy mascot encapsulates and satirizes the misplaced, crestfallen, and somewhat delusional optimism that post-World War II marketing clung to during the Cold War's atomic terror, hence the thumbs up. There's another reason for the thumbs up in the series. Just before the bombs hit Los Angeles, actor and former Marine Cooper Howard tells his daughter that his military training told him to hold his thumb up to a nuclear blast. If his thumb covered the explosion, he had time to run. If not,
They told us not to bother running.
in reality, things are way more complicated than that though. Nuclear bombs generate 4 different types of damage: radiation, thermal, light, and blast. Environmental conditions affect each of these damage types, and there's no singular rule to determine if you're far enough away to be safe. Anyone who has studied nuclear bombs even a little knows their explosions are far more complex than those of conventional bombs. Historian Alex Wellerstein's interactive nuke map shows what the effects would be of such a blast. As an example, let's look at what a 15-kiloton explosion, the same as the little boy bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima during World War II, would do if it fell on the financial district of Manhattan. Multiple damage types spread in concentric circles from the epicenter of nuclear blasts. From smallest to largest, there's the initial nuclear fireball, followed by heavy blast damage, moderate blast damage, initial radiation damage, thermal radiation damage, and finally, light blast radiation damage that makes it west over the Hudson River and into Jersey City, if the bomb detonates on the ground, that is. Detonations in the atmosphere are more severe as blast layers propagate through air much more easily than land and all of its man-made structures. And then there's wind, which radically alters nuclear fallout. If the wind in our example is blowing northeast, radiation could be carried in a line all the way to New Haven, Connecticut. There are also tons of variables to consider.
Is it your thumb or mine?
How big is your thumb? How long is your arm? What's your height relative to the blast? Which damage type are you assessing? Do you know the exact explosive yield of the nuclear device? Such questions ought to illustrate that the rule of thumb is much less effective than an even simpler rule. Run and get into a bomb shelter if you can. To be fair, Cooper's rule could be vaguely useful if you've accounted for every single average of all those possible parameters: size of thumb, length of arm, height of bomb, explosive yield of device, and most pertinently, wind direction and strength. This is because, as mentioned, wind carries radiation far further than anyone might realize. In the Manhattan Financial District example, if you're standing in Stamford, Connecticut, and holding your thumb toward Manhattan 40 miles away, you might not even see a nuclear explosion given atmospheric conditions and the height at which the nuclear device detonated. But if the wind is blowing your way, you will definitely get caught in the fallout. Academics have calculated the viability of the nuclear rule of thumb, too. In 2018, a team at the University of Leicester also chose the 15-kiloton explosive yield of Little Boy as an example. If a thumb of unspecified size was just covering the stem of a mushroom cloud, then a person would be about 7.8 miles away from ground zero. A distance of about 2.9 miles would be enough to avoid all burns, and 1 mile enough to avoid initial radiation saturation. The farther you are away from the blast, regardless of wind direction and strength, the less radiation you'd absorb. This might sound like a promising way to save lives when facing an 80-year-old nuclear device from World War II, but we still wouldn't recommend hanging around to find out.